G'day guys, welcome back to Dougmo Knows, here with Craig.
G'day mate.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, no worries, thanks for having me.
So Craig and I were planning on catching up and doing a chat at the start of November, because Craig was doing November. We wanted to have a chat about mental health and whatnot, but we missed the boat on November. It's nearly Christmas, but that's as good a time as any to talk about it. So
talk about mental health.
we'll we haven't planned this out very well. We're gonna have a chat about mental health and whatever else we lead into, and then we'll see if I can edit it into a coherent video for you guys. So thanks for coming, Craig.
Nah, thanks for having me. It's very exciting.
What's going on? How did you go with November?
November we actually had a real good thing. It ended up going through the company that I work with, which I won't worry too much about, but luckily enough they're big on matching like any form of good donation, so we ended up raising $5,000 in total and they matched it, so $10,000 went straight to November Foundation, which was freaking awesome across like a centre of 100 people ended up growing that, and so many other people did some awesome things. So probably one of the most successful Novembers I've been a part of, which is, I guess that's what I wanted to actually come talk about, is just having that there's a feeling of that mental health is becoming a better concentration now, and that we're finally getting to a point where you can talk about it, everyone's okay to talk about it, and I guess my concentration now is alright, we're comfortable talking about it, and now we need to work on how do we
do about it.
Yeah, exactly, and working through it's not just about notifying someone, and yes, it's okay to talk, but you've also got to be able to be willing with that same person to go like, sweet, well, where do you want to get to, and how on earth are we going to get there?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, and so that was my focus throughout November, was I guess on days where I had, I'm pretty lucky, I don't struggle too much through life, but on those days where you do wake up and you're like, fuck this, it's not really worth it, what's the point? It's getting up, and whether you make a friend who they're your go-to person about that kind of debrief or whatever it is, that was pretty much my goal the whole month, was either being that person for someone or using my friend base to be able to support myself, but also support the people who are important to you.
Yeah, cool. I guess it's definitely become a lot easier to talk about. But I don't know, do you think we're sort of really getting anywhere, or like?
Well, I guess for me, that's probably, like, I look at where we need to get to in a phase process, and I think we've probably just come to the end of the first phase, which was making men realise that there is absolutely no good reason why you can't just tell someone that you're not having a good time.
Yeah.
And it's then phase 2 would be maybe challenging those who are struggling, not to a point to push them over the edge, but I guess in a lot of psychological terms, if you're struggling, one of the worst things to do is hide yourself away from it. You kind of have to face that, and through facing that is where you grow through some of the worst struggles. So I guess for me, it's a phase situation. I can't say we've gone all the way, because I think we.
Yeah, I think for me, like I like on and off have struggled a lot with mental health. And I mean, like growing up or whatever, like in the country, or just like I think guys in Australia, like even like we were probably pretty well like on the tail end of it, where it wasn't acceptable to talk about if you weren't having a good time or whatever. And then so I was always sort of very like that, and didn't want to ever like admit.
Seem weak.
Almost. Seem weak, or just I don't know, it just wasn't the done thing.
Yeah.
And then now it's sort of easier to admit it, but to be honest, I don't know if it like really helps me much. The way people sort of react, like if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I
think admit it, and then it's like I don't know, and I like can't really preach about people using mental health as like an excuse for poor behaviour, because I'm definitely guilty of that as well. But it's almost like when you admit that you're not doing well, whatever, people, you know, now like we've got to that stage, but now people don't know the right way to react to that to actually help you. And the way most people react, it's sort of just enabling like poor and like self-destructive behaviour. Because they, oh, that's right, like you're depressed or like you're anxious or whatever, like that's okay, like, and so, and then I don't really like feel any better being treated like with kid gloves. Then it's like, oh, you know, Doug's not doing well, and like you're sort of
like baby him
get
around,
the feeling like you're like the like leper that everyone's sort of like
real careful with. Wants to, exactly, and it's like a fragile thing. I guess that's like again why I agree with you in that, like, I don't think we've gotten to the solution, but I think we're probably a long way along to the road, because I guess the way I've visualised it in my own mind is we have to get to this point to figure out where differences can be made in educating. So, say for example, I'm the one struggling. There needs to be, I guess, a little bit more easily accessible and just like encouraged education for everyone to know, like, again, like, well, to a certain extent, depending on what I'm dealing with, there's no reason for you to try and help like more than what you're willing to. Because you're not someone who's professional and who knows how to assess my mentality, etc.
Have you ever been to a counsellor? Or?
I've been to a psychologist a few times out of choice. I developed my own mental health plan just because I've always been around mates that have struggled, and it really sucks because I'm love all my mates, and for some reason I've just never had major struggles where I have felt like I've gone down a real bad dark place that I couldn't get out of. And so that's probably what's encouraged me to do my own visit psychologists and stuff, because I feel like it's a real easy way to get an idea of maybe what your triggers would be, and therefore hopefully being able to get into tactics or things that you can do to avoid those, or at least get yourself out of a hole when it's this deep instead of it being this deep and needing people around to help out.
So and so was that a positive experience for you with those? It
was huge. I think for me, I am a really self-cynical person in that I probably have like brilliant idea or a brilliant thought or whatever, and before it even gets out of my mouth, I'm kind of cussing it down and being like, oh, it's not a great idea, it's a good idea. And so that was probably one thing that I've taken away from it, was like, one, taking time to respond, and then two, when you've got that time, don't second guess it, because ultimately, if you've taken that time, first of all, there's no more thinking to do, and any more thinking is probably more, I guess, it's like your own anxiety in a way. It's just talking yourself out of it. So that was kind of, and I mean, like, that's pretty much the same experience that I've had here. Like, I've always wanted to do a video here, but it's that kind of initial point of like, oh, maybe I'm not that interesting. Maybe we shouldn't, and all that. So it
doesn't matter if you do a video, throw it on the internet, people watch it or they won't.
Exactly, and that's where I guess that's probably something that I've learned from you as well. In that, it's just getting to the point of, well, I've got something to say, or I've got something that I feel strongly about. There's no reason why the universe shouldn't hear about it. It's just, it's equal opportunity. They can take it, they can throw it out. It doesn't matter.
Put it down. Like,
exactly.
Either pick it up or don't. Whatever.
And that was probably one of the biggest takeaways from my own mental health kind of journey.
Well, I have gone to counsellors, psychologists. I have to say it was a completely pointless endeavour for me. Obviously, like, everyone's different, and like, I don't know how to say this without, like, I don't know, it's not that like I'm incredibly smart. I think it's that I'm probably like incredibly cynical. So whenever I can be sitting down with a counsellor or a psychologist or whatever, they like asking the right questions, saying the right things, and I go, oh, like, I was thinking, oh, fuck, I know what you're doing. Like,
so you're trying to beat into
my head, and like you're just like, you're full of shit. Like, I know you like read this in a textbook somewhere. And like this, I don't really yeah, I don't really like buy into it. I found like a lot of the time they're trying to like address like issues that like wasn't the issue for me.
Yeah.
Like, they want to like.
So it's kind of like like they're not putting you in a box maybe, but addressing very regular issues in the hope that maybe that's one
And
that you've got.
yeah, I also like sort of got the feeling again, like this, maybe just being cynical, but there's sort of like an industry around it now. They don't like, yeah, and I don't know. I guess it is an ongoing thing. It's not like you go and like you just get better, and then you're not like, you're not fucking bipolar anymore and don't have to see someone.
Yeah.
But it's also just seems to be they want you to keep coming back.
Oh, definitely. And I think, I guess that was my experience too. Like there was no, here you go, I only want you here for one session. I'm just going to tell you what you like. They definitely do, I guess, they probably convince themselves that they need to buy you in as well. But I guess, to be fair, like that was my response probably for the first 2 times that I went. And I was very similar. I was like I know that we're having this conversation because you're judging me, and I was sitting there waiting for, I was sitting there stopping my sentence midway to be like, what do you think now that I say that? Like, am I a crazy person or am I slightly more normal now because I've said this and reacted that way? So it's massive to, I guess it's each to everyone. And again, I think that probably just drives more to, like, my main point with Movember is just about, like, sweet, we've gotten so far, but really we all need to start to get almost ready for another fight. And that fight is to possibly get to a general education point where maybe if you're not comfortable going to a psychologist or a counselor or whatever, if we can get people to like a general competency where maybe that, like, if you don't want to do that, maybe you don't have to. Maybe you can just be around the people that care about you, and they can, instead of doing what you kind of feel at the moment where it's like, oh, we'll babysit him, like he's fine, it's okay. It's like, all right, Doug, well, these are your problems. These are the mess that you found yourself in. What are the things that you could think of that are going to get you out or get you slightly above the hole that you're in right now? Yeah. And get you into that better mindset.
It's a tricky sort of tightrope to walk, but honestly, like, I've been in some like pretty bad places. Yeah. And like honestly, like looking back, the most like helpful things anyone's done for me is not allow me to fucking like wallow in self-pity.
Yeah, it's the accountability.
And that's like, you don't want to be too hard on someone in that situation.
Absolutely.
But you don't want to like feed into like making them feel like they can't help themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Or that like, their behaviour is justified.
Yeah, like, sometimes like you need a kick up the ass.
Absolutely.
Like, because like at the end of the day, like you can go to all the counsellors you want and fucking talk to as many people as you want. Like you have to decide to like be better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's probably one of the things.
And there's a lot of like it's probably a sort of bit of a spicy thing to say, but it's like a bit trendy.
Oh, it's a societal thing.
To remain like, it's sort of like there's you climbing a mountain to like admit that you have a fucking mental health problem, and then once you admit it, it's like hard to let go of it because you get this feeling like sympathy and you're like, now this is just me now. Like I'm depressed and
exactly, and so it's like Doug the depressed guy instead of Doug that has suffered a few times through his life. Exactly, and I think like the hardest part, which is probably why Movember or things like Movember and men's mental health in general, to be fair, for both men and women, but like why it's so important nowadays is because I think, I don't know if it's purposely or not, but like as a society, there are more and more things that we're telling people that you are like okay to be mediocre, you're okay to be the way you are as you are, and if you act out in any form of a certain way, if you can justify it, it's good enough, and there's no reason for you to change that behaviour, which is just trash. Like anyone who would have been born and raised before 2000 probably realizes that like their own parents would like slap them over the head over that. That's just a child. You grow out of that attitude when you're 13 and then finally realize that you're not the only kid on the school block. Like,
yeah, it's sort of tricky one though too. Like I get what you're saying. I don't know. The world is absolutely insane at the moment.
Yeah.
But then like also sort of get kids and like young adults and everything was sort of very much like put in a box and like this like what I found like I'm not very well like suited to sitting down and like studying or like a normal like office job or like I find it like pretty hard to fucking focus on anything and but I'll get like really into stuff that I'm interested about. But that was just never, what was like the curriculum of the day at school. So I was fucking terrible. Like did well, up to a point in school, and like in high school I was just like fucking terrible because I wasn't like interested in whatever we were learning. I'd go and like just research shit I was interested in on YouTube and like go down the rabbit hole for 3 days, like researching something.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot of like useless stuff.
Yeah. And the teacher goes, tell me about your math test, and you're like, well, I don't know anything about that, but I can tell you everything about this. Yeah.
But like, and sort of like you've got to go to school, go to uni, and get a job, and work for 50 years, and like
your life's
work
kind of
5 or 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And like not everyone's fucking like cut out for that.
Nah, not at all.
And then sometimes you have to do that for a while, like because that's the only way. Like you got to fucking feed yourself and whatever. So you like do that for a bit, but it's not like it shouldn't be treated as like a character flaw if you're not like cut out for that. Like,
no, not at all.
But then that was sort of issue that I found or whatever. If I couldn't concentrate in class because and again not trying to like make myself sound like a genius, but like when in the Northern Territory when I was at primary school, I was doing like maths and English at like 4 grades above my level, and then I'd fucking get bored. I'd like basically like done like all the tests up to like grade 5 when I was in grade 1. And then I'd start like acting up because it was like I was bored. And then I like fucking ended up on like special diets because I had ADD and had like every fucking disorder that they thought of at the time. When it was just like you're not like stimulated in that environment. But then also like I don't know, it's a fine line there where you like beat that kid into line and say like this is like you need to sit down, like shut up, like you're only at school for 6 hours a day, just like wear it, because now like it seems like fucking gone the other way and like everyone's unique and like you like identify as a fucking camping chair. That's fine. You don't have to do any homework. Like,
exactly.
But like.
It's kind of gone the exact opposite, and I guess
and everyone like sort of like you fucking there's loud noises you're triggered like you fucking I don't know.
I mean I think like there's a place in education for those things, of course, but I guess I think I'm probably on your side there in that like to a certain extent I've had this conversation with heaps of people as well in that. A lot of people seem to look, and it tends to be those who have had a bad experience in school. They go, oh, the whole education system's fucked. Like it's terrible. Kids aren't meant to be sitting in a classroom for 6 hours paying attention and all this shit, and it's not good for them and blah blah. That's not how people learn. It's like that's really fair for you to say when you're the one who struggled. But if 7 other people in that class learnt only by that way. Well, you're about to disadvantage them by saying we shouldn't have classrooms anymore. So I think realistically, like, I'm always.
I think it's just like that's fine if that's the education system. and you have to sit in the classroom for 6 hours a day for 12 years.
Yeah.
Whatever, that's fine. Like, you just have to do that because that teaches you, like, you don't always get to do whatever you want in life, and like you learn certain things from that. But it's more like the funnel, where you sort of and all through that time, you're really being taught what to think.
Oh, absolutely.
Not how to think for yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're just being funneled into that. Like, the only way to be successful is to go to uni.
Yeah.
Then, like, you're gonna get some fucking like menial job that you don't like, but it's like stable and blah
exactly.
blah blah. Where now, like, they push like trades and stuff more, but even, like, that was pretty. There's like a handful of people in my grade at school that did like trades instead of doing an OP. And there's a fucking heap of us that did OPs that probably shouldn't have.
Right, same as me.
And like, I did an OP when there was probably no point in doing it.
I was the same.
Then I went to uni, and I like had just spent 12 years at school that I fucking hated, and then went and jumped straight into uni, and going to class was optional, so I didn't. And
I was the exact same.
Didn't last long there. So.
I think I lasted maybe 6 months in uni, and it was the same thing. I just was like, oh wait, I actually don't have to come here. And then I was like, oh cool, I've got better things to do.
Yeah.
I guess probably the point that I was more trying to make with the whole education, because I agree with that funneling, is that, like, I don't disagree with that it needs to change, but what I think people seem to, and the issue that I have with so many things, with so many opinions, is that people think that you have to go from one extreme to the other. You need to meet in the middle, because realistically, if you can't learn in a classroom, then absolutely you should be given full attention of how we can better teach you. But these people who learn perfectly in a classroom can't be disadvantaged to advantage you.
But there's a lot of that shit that you're not going to learn outside of the classroom.
Of course.
If you can't learn what you're being taught in that environment, sometimes it's what you're being taught. Like, so just fucking, like, don't bother. Like, maybe that's not how you're wired.
Yeah.
But also, like, if it's maths or English, maybe like suck it up. Like, sit there, maybe you're going to be an underachiever at it, but like, it's going to come in handy at some point. Like, you've learnt to.
The fact that you can do your time savings,
bit of discipline. Like, sit down and shut. Like, what's the most time you spend in class in school? Hour and a half.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Double. Like, there's going to be times like where you're going to have to sit still where you don't want to in life for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And cop it. But yeah, like. Yeah, I don't know. The big thing, just even like, when I was at school, it was just like teaching kids like what to think about like more nuanced issues.
Yeah.
It was definitely like really starting then. From what I understand, like, I don't know. I obviously haven't been at school since I was at school, but I understand like it's got a lot more worse. Like social justice causes and stuff, and like people aren't allowed to like think for themselves and like make up their own mind on an idea like based on the merits. You're just told like this is fucking how things are, and like if you don't believe this, you're a bad person. And then also like we're funneling you into uni
and you manage. You kind of either managed out or managed back into the
but then also like gotten so like soft on everyone. Like I think we've sort of fucking rebounded from like how things were like when we were at school. Probably just told like harden up, like suck it up, you fucking done it, now like rebound and everyone like it's trendy, like if you're not fucking fitting in at school, like it's like trendy to have ADHD, like, rather than you go to a special class, but now you've got fucking anxiety because you're in a like special class and like
to a certain point you've got to like stop them in the tracks and just be like, okay, well, like, yes, you've faced these issues, but if we continue to make like exceptions for you, well, now we're actually digging a hole with you. So it's like we'll get to an end and then we're like, all right, well, we have a ladder that we can climb out of, but you can't do it. And it's like one of those like it's a failure to have foresight in that you initially focus on, this is an upset person, and then you just it's the babying issue again. Like you baby them, and then they go, oh yeah, I feel a bit better now.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, no fucking.
But then they learn that behaviour.
Yeah.
Like, is that now if I keep this issue, then I'll keep getting the special treatment.
Yeah, and I'll get coddled, and I'll feel better. Yeah, exactly. And then as I said, when for whatever reason you're not there, the ladder's gone, and you're fucked. Oh well, they're fucked as the person that's struggling.
Should we have a break, get another drink?
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back. Oh, all right, we're back. I don't know if you can see me. Yeah, we're good. All right, we're back. We're just talking, obviously, about like the education system, and we got onto that because of mental health. I think the point that I really wanted to make, I guess, like sort of follows on from the education system thing, and then like a bit about like what society like expects from people, and I'm very big on like you should fend for yourself. So that might mean you have to do a job that you don't like or whatever, but we sort of have this thing where we look down on, like, so say there's like someone who's like a real bohemian type and they want to fucking write like tambourine music, that's what they're really passionate about, or paint fucking oil paintings by dipping their cat's feet in paint and letting it walk across the canvas. And that's their passion in life, and they're willing to, rent a cheap apartment and work at Coles as a checkout chick for their whole life, and they do that and they're really happy. Like that's fine. Like that's a bit weird. It's not everyone's like cup of tea, but the sort of really like, I don't know, like look down on those sort of people when I think, that's really like if they're happy, like that's every bit as admirable as someone who like works their ass off to be a CEO and has a wife and 4 kids at home that they never see. But that spends all their money, which is also fine. Like if that's what you want to do, but that's sort of the direction that everyone's like
going at the moment,
sort of pushed into, and not even just like one parent. It's like fucking both parents have to be CEOs, and then you like make enough money to hire a nanny, so you never have to see your kids.
And then like what's the point in having kids? You just have a CEO job.
But that's it. I guess like I think I don't think you have a right to to live off welfare and do paw print paintings. But if you want to work like a menial job and focus on your hobbies and whatever, and you're happy and whatever, I think that's every bit as admirable as like climbing the corporate ladder or whatever.
I think that was probably.
I don't think we really I don't think that's really like accepted.
No, and I mean like it's an each their own mentality, which is again probably something that we're losing sight of in society because we tend to want to be more involved in people's lives when we don't really need, probably don't have a right to in most ways, as you said. But I guess for me, it ties in some of the best advice that I've ever been given, and it was weirdly from a customer that I helped one day, and they were tackling it from more of a, here's how you set yourself up for retirement, young fella, this is where you get rich. But his main point was find a general interest and turn it into a side hustle. And again, that's where he was looking at it from a monetary kind of perspective. But I think take even money out of it and from a mental health perspective and treat it that same scenario like an investment in yourself, in that if you do like cats, paw prints on a painting thing, or if you want to go kayaking and fishing every weekend, or if you're a hunter, or if you're a singer, or if you like going down to the local bar and doing stand-up comedy, there's always going to be someone those people are always weird to someone. But it is only ever a problem, and I think most people with general common sense realise that that's only ever a problem if it impedes on us, on us as individuals. But ultimately, it's the same thing. Like I love going fishing on a weekend. I definitely.
I guess like what I was getting, yeah, like, mate, yeah, the ideal, like the dream is to fucking make a career out of something that you love, so you never have to work, blah blah blah. But that's like for most people, that's like
It's unrealistic.
It's a fucking dream.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing wrong with like working a job to give you enough money. Like if you get a fucking part-time job and work 4 days a week,
Yeah.
have 3-day weekends every weekend, so you can go kayak fishing.
Yeah.
And you're fucking stoked with that, then like,
Good on you.
then yeah, that's great. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And I guess it's like, I don't know if it's societal or if it's individual, but like there's too many like levels that people set, and you can set it for yourself. You have your peers set it for you. You have your family set it for you. And it's like, I think from a wider point of view, people think it's helpful because people think it's like, oh, I'm just guiding you in a way that, you know, is probably most likely to work out for you. It's just like, but like as you said, like that's because that worked out for you, which I fully appreciate.
Yeah.
But it means jack all unless I have given you any insight into that. That's also interests me.
At the same time, though, I think like it's very important to recognise that you don't like just because you really like doing something, like that doesn't entitle you to just do that. Like you still like you need to like fund your activities,
society,
and that comes through like that's right. Like I'm pretty hardcore like laissez-faire capitalist.
Yeah.
And you basically like you don't have the right to anything that requires somebody else's time and effort.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So the only way that you get money or like form
good
services is by providing something to the world of value.
Yep.
So if your cat paw print paintings aren't of any value to anyone, you just like doing them, then you have to be check out Coles or something to fund your hobby.
Yeah.
That's where like I think I was sort of going down a line where like I was sort of might have sounded like people I don't like very much. Where like yes, like that's a perfectly acceptable way to live your life as long as you can fund it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not acceptable to tax the people that sacrifice their family life and their home life and go and be CEOs and make $300,000 a year. We tax them fucking 70% of their wage to fund you doing cat portrait paintings.
Exactly.
As long as like if you can fund whatever you're doing, then do whatever you want. And that sort of goes back to like as long as you're not affecting anyone else, which is like a lot of people seem to fucking lose sight of now.
Yeah.
Everyone's like really like on board on the surface. They're really on board with like live and let live, and what they're doing is not affecting you. But then also, everyone should have like free uni. Well, then what they're doing is affecting me. Because if I don't go to uni and I go and get a trade, then you tax me to pay for their uni.
Yeah, exactly.
And even like healthcare, fucking whatever, anything, where you have to go and then like tax the time and effort of someone else to fund it.
Yeah.
It's not a right, and then those people have the right to disagree because you're leeching off them to pay for it.
Yeah, it's one of these things too. It's a double-edged sword. In the like from a funding thing, like your point is spot on, but like even from the individual. So like let's think about the person who paints pictures of his cat or whatever. If he's only doing that because he's on a Centrelink wage or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a societal pressure that someone who does the hard yards and sees old mate standing out in the corner waiting for his Centrelink check to go and then go straight into Lincraft to buy a fucking pastel set. He's jacked off because he's like, fuck that guy. But then that person has it's the age-old argument of rights versus responsibilities. You should have the right to be able to do those like points of interest that you find interesting.
I think everyone has the right to do whatever the fuck they want, and they have a responsibility to fucking
fund it,
work out how to do it.
Exactly. So that's exactly my point. Is that
pretty much that simple to me.
And the right is unfortunately what seems to get my attention, and it's just like
but everything that's fuck other than everything's right now. Like you got this sort of goes back to like the mental health thing. Like you say like you get anxious around fucking like people who disagree with you. You have a right not to feel anxious. So now like we'll fucking give you a safe space where you don't have to hear opinions you disagree with. Like you don't that's not how rights work.
No.
You don't have a right, like if you fucking break your leg, like to be perfectly honest, like the mixed healthcare system that we've got in Australia works very well. But like essentially, like if you fucking break your leg and you can't afford a doctor to fix it, like you don't have the right to. Like you're privileged in Australia that you'll probably get fixed up. And other people are paying for it, but it's not really like that's not a God-given right.
No, exactly.
That requires the effort of a doctor, who like someone's got to pay. He's fucking spent years like learning how to be a doctor to fix your leg, so it can't be a human right to have like healthcare. Like,
no.
You've got a right to, and we can't go. There's a big push to like I think the war on drugs is rubbish. But we can't have universal healthcare for everyone. And then decriminalise all drugs. Like it doesn't really work that way.
No,
That's what, so like in a country, so in Australia, you're gonna have a harder time like justifying decriminalising drugs. Because we already have an established like public healthcare system. So then you've got the argument of like costs on that system.
Exactly.
Whereas if everyone, you got a right to do whatever you want with your body, and you fucking deal with it.
Exactly.
If you fuck your body up. Then that's fine. Like, go for it. Then like as long as you don't, if you're not, getting full of fucking meth and like beating your missus or whatever, fuck. Like put whatever you want in your body, as long as you're then not doing anything that affects someone else.
Exactly.
Like,
Well, it's weird because like for so long, rights in this boy.
But you get these services and things given to you, and then slowly you lose agency over yourself. Then it's like, oh, this is a good thing, but now we're giving you this, and then that's what they justify. Like tax cigarettes through the roof and tax alcohol. Then even to like have the war on drugs, it's like most arguments because of the medical costs.
Exactly.
Like
the worst part is that like your rights and responsibilities, as far as I'm concerned, has always been very tightly bound. Like again, like I always paint a picture of anyone with common sense understands that any right that you have, there's an equal opportunity, responsibility that's probably tied with it. These things like universal health care and Centrelink income, whatever, like I've always looked at them as a privilege. So it's kind of one of those things where I don't know how, but over time it's been confused as a right. And everyone goes, oh, it's a right. But it's like, no, it's a privilege. Like, as you just pointed out, like it's almost unfathomable that I can go cut my arm off and go into a hospital and not pay a cent. It's almost unfathomable, but it's 100% possible. Because we've got
it works pretty well here because we don't have a big population. We're a very rich country per person. And it works well because most of the fucking not even well off, like upper lower class people and above. Most with families will have private health.
Exactly.
Insurance.
Like I've got private health.
So then the system doesn't get overrun. Where if you have, and I'm not a fucking expert on it, but in Canada, the UK, Canada, you've got some private, but not a lot.
Yep.
In the UK, you've got very, very little.
Yeah.
And you fucking like waiting times, everything are enormous.
And I think
because you fucking do like just every health matter goes through, and there's some kids like from the UK that died because the NHS wouldn't let them go to the US. Like they must have been in like palliative care or something.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't release them and let them go to the US for like experimental treatment.
Yeah.
That like wasn't covered by the NHS.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Then you lose agency over yourself or like your choices.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it works well here because we've got a pretty low population, lots of money relatively, and a pretty like robust and lots of competition as well in private healthcare, like private health insurance.
Yeah.
So pretty much everyone that can afford to has private health. Then like when you need a fucking knee reconstruction, right? You're not going to choke up the public system for ages. You go to your private doctor and the insurance to pay for it. So yeah, then the people whose lives really depend on it, they like get help in the public system. And, yeah, like it's not perfect, but you know it works well and
I think probably why it works well is also one of the reasons why I think a lot of people tend to just like not misunderstand but just not quite get it right in that like if you were to paint it like people in our country are overly privileged because of the fact that like it's tax funded and it's also working well. Because if it didn't work well, if we were overpopulated and there was like no incentive to go and get private health and every single person used the public health system, everyone would be like, this is the fucking worst thing we've ever done and why are we doing this? And therefore...
when this, people in America, when they're like pushing for fucking like Medicare for all, and like they literally there are people who want to not even have like a two-payer system, but have a single payer, like government provides healthcare for everyone.
Yeah.
And even so, like it's not really perfect in the UK. And there's what is there, 50 million people in the UK?
Yeah, I think probably about 50. Yeah, we're 20, so.
Yeah, is it like so? Like say it's 50 or 70 million people or something in the UK. I don't know. There's like 350 odd million in the US.
Yeah.
They say like Canada, like depending on who you ask, Canada's health system's a shit show or it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
But there's like tens of millions of people there.
Yes.
350 odd million people in America.
Yeah.
When like they brought it like Obamacare was kind of like a dual payer, like kind of down the Australian route, right? But then they fucking somehow ended up with like you only had one insurer available to you, like depending on the state that you lived in.
Oh.
So there was like one like insurer would provide insurance for this state.
Yeah.
So you had no competition. The fucking insurance premiums there, like my private health here's like 170 a month or something, and we're covered for like pretty much fucking any eventuality.
Yeah.
There's like people over there that are paying like $7,000 to $12,000 for a single person's health insurance, and it was mandated that you had to get it or you pay a fine, and you only had like one insurer to go to. That's it's
weird, like as well. I mean, this is slightly off a subject, but like it's weird in a way because I honestly feel like by law in Australia that would be like racketeering and pretty much like
I think probably by law there it probably is.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's so weird that like it actually got into that section because like the fact that there is only one option is like the definition of illegal. You can't enforce a service and then not provide many different options.
I don't know. But yeah, I think like with Australia, like with our healthcare, even like our welfare, we like everyone that's fucking run this country for like the last 50 years have done. So like I always thought you would have to really, really fucking try really hard to like fuck things up here.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
we've got fuck all people. We've got a heap of like mineral wealth.
Yeah.
But they're doing a pretty good job of it.
Oh yeah,
And
that's
it's
right.
only it's only like through like good luck and because of like we were in such a strong position to begin with that it's taking so long.
Yeah, it takes so long to go to shit.
Like we're essentially we don't fucking make anything here anymore. And I don't like. I don't know, like the good old days when we fucking made everything here. But we basically turned ourselves into like a big offshore fucking quarry for China.
Yeah.
And now they don't want to buy coal anymore. Like, are we any? What have we?
Yeah,
what have we got out of this cheap iPhones?
Exactly.
Like,
that's pretty much it.
Anyone like? I don't know. I wasn't fucking alive in the 70s, but from what I hear, like I don't really think life was worse for people.
Well, I think like people were happier and simpler back then. Is the vibe that I get, and I guess like probably this is finally a really good way to segue back into the mental health side of things. Is that, like taking those like jobs offshore and all that type of stuff it limits you like the different amount of opportunity, which ties into what you were saying before. Is that if you've only got like so here's your diagram of like a Venn diagram of everything. Like if you've just gotten rid of 50% of the possible opportunity that you could possibly get because we don't make shirts here, we don't make like anything that's like general household shit.
Yeah.
Now you've just gotten rid of 50% of the people that probably would have gotten a lot of meaning out of that.
Yeah.
And so they now got like they're now either on the dole or they are struggling in a 9 to 5 and they fucking hate their lives, and because they haven't thought of, well, fuck, I could actually still do this. I just need to earn money.
That's the other thing. Like, first, the person who's making cat paw print paintings, they want a shit job to fucking pay for things. Like, they could have 20 years ago had a job screwing wheels on fucking Toyota Camrys at a car plant, or like folding fucking shirts, or like whatever. Like, that's actually like been times in my life I've done like it's like menial fucking like warehouse, like factory sort of jobs like that. Yeah. And that's for that sort of person, like that's perfect. Those jobs don't exist anymore. No. You've either got like we're a service industry or like service finance, like mining.
Exactly, yeah. Well, and that's like the hardest part of it is as you said, like there are less and less opportunity for simple jobs. Exactly.
High skill jobs left.
Yeah, like there, like nowadays, and again in my industry, like it's a point where like it's a waste of time hiring anyone that's just out of high school. Whereas really, that's what you want to start doing. Like you want to kind of get them in early, but it's a waste of time because they haven't got life experience. Yeah. And the role that you have to do is so like there's so much system and customer base, and it's like there's about 40 different things you got to do at the same time that you can't be simple-minded. Like you can't be a basic person who, like who just is very easy to manipulate and just does whatever anyone says, because like you need to have a bit of backbone and a bit of like self-intelligence and an ability to question what's happening, because otherwise you're gonna fuck up. Yeah. Whereas as you said, like moving those boring as fuck mediocre jobs, which probably like I wouldn't be caught dead in because I'd like shoot myself out of boredom. Yeah. And probably you're much the same. There was actually a place for them, and if anything, nowadays
there's also
like
what we said with like the mental health thing. So like we've got like higher skilled and like more like intricate jobs, right? Yeah. Like if you fucking go, I think it's like hardwired into like men in particular, that you want to like start a task and finish a task, right? Yeah. And if you're doing one of these like manual jobs, like that people fucking sort of look down on you for doing. Yeah. But if you say you like work on a fucking car assembly line and your job is putting the right hand fucking door on Holden Commodores, like as they come down the line, you like go to work, you do that, you go, yep, I fucking put the doors on like 100 Commodores today. Yeah. And then you go home and you don't have to worry about like there's nothing hanging over your head, like fucking angry customer or someone you didn't serve properly, or like fucking boss has got the shits or whatever, like they're those like simple jobs, they like satisfy that like base instinct in like men in particular to want to like start and finish a task.
Yeah.
And then like it's done. Like it's sort of the same.
And for some reason we have spent probably the last 40 years urgently trying to remove that from our job basis.
Yeah.
And I've got I can't fathom why, but I fully agree with you. We took the ability to get like a cheap shirt from China over probably the ability to continue or at least help improve someone's or sustain someone's mental health.
I don't think like any we get cheap shit from China. The whole like China thing is another argument like altogether. Like, I don't think we should have ever fucking been doing anything with China. Like, I don't care. We got like good phones and fucking cheap shirts out of it. We spend like blood and treasure like fighting wars in the Middle East because we apparently care about human rights. China, not China, like Chinese people, like the Chinese Communist Party, are fucking probably like the most like evil entity that has existed in the last 100 years.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it's trendy to be fucking against fascists now, but like well done. Like everyone was against fascists in the 40s and we won, and like there's really no real fucking fascists anymore.
Yeah.
But it's cool to wear like fucking communist slogans on t-shirts and shit. Like, they got wear the fucking iPhones, mate. Well, they got nets like catch people trying to kill themselves. Yeah. They're like making them with slave labour. They've got camps full of like Uyghur Muslims. Yeah. Where like they're fucking working to death or like keeping there and harvest their organs for people. Yeah. Like it's fucking outrageous. Yeah, exactly. And no one says anything because they don't want to hurt our trading relationship with China. Like,
and I think we lose like one of the things that
you lose like all your legitimacy or
you lose your identity
any like moral high grounds. Yeah. You have like we're like us and America like what. Yeah, fuck. Anyway.
I guess it's like
never. I don't think we ever should have got in bed with them. And
no.
Like I'm all for like free trade, and open borders and free trade, like essentially. But you got to have like reciprocal trade. Yeah. And there's no need to like do business with. If that's how they want to do things, then that's fine. But we don't have to fucking go and get in bed with them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we can't have like free trade where we're not going to put tariffs on Chinese stuff coming here, but a shirt made in China or a car made in China, the labour's costing them $1 a day, and then at the same time we've got like all the workers' rights and everything that we have here. You can either like have one or the other. You can't have like strong working conditions here and a free trade agreement with China, because then you end up with like no working conditions here because there's fucking no jobs. Yeah. Because if you pay someone $45 an hour here to build a car and pay someone fucking $1 an hour in China and not feed them to crank out like probably more cars, exactly. They've probably got a gun to their head, then like eventually you're not going to build cars here anymore.
Yeah. Oh, and I think like realistically, like,
that's like a separate issue to the fucking human rights thing. And,
No, it's painted in horrible. It's just not going to be a good time in any respect to that. But I guess like the main impact for me, away from political and stuff like that is like you tend to start to give away your identities as a country, which then as citizens, like that's like you see so many different cultures blast on about how important their culture is, and I don't disagree with it at all. Yeah. So then, why on earth, like because we're such a new country, did we not hold on to that? Like, like there's two parts of it. There's obviously Indigenous Australians, which like that's not what I'm trying to touch on because it's not something that I know too much about.
Well,
but
I ultimately don't think the Indigenous Australians would be a lot better off if someone else would.
No. And that's probably not really what I'm getting at either. But what I guess I'm more pointing out is like we came out of it like through that era where we probably needed to really boost the industry, and that was I guess if we had our time back, we might be in a different world today. Whereas we tend to, as I said, like get into bed of China, sell a few things off. It was cheaper, it was easier. But the thing that I genuinely don't think anyone really picked was how much of an impact it has on everyone as an individual, and whether or not that's actually played a big part in what really could be. I think it has been labelled as a mental health pandemic.
Yeah, maybe you don't get like the growth that we have, like, all the metrics of like GDP growth and fucking housing price growth or whatever. Like back like in the 70s, like more people could find fucking meaningful work.
Yep.
Does it matter much if like your median house price keeps increasing if less and less people can afford to buy them? Relative like to their income, how much of their income they have to fucking spend on a house.
Yeah.
Maybe they're measuring the wrong things.
Oh, absolutely. And I guess it's the same thing with like I take a lot of problem. I guess one thing with like the whole mental health November movement is in that like one of the most common things I hear said is back 20 years ago no men talked to each other and like it wasn't the thing and it was weird to talk to it. We've finally broken that thing and it's not such a stigma anymore, and it's like that's fucking awesome. But have you done the analytics to say, well, 20 years ago there was these other jobs available?
What else was happening 20 years ago?
And so, were we all as unhappy at that stage, or were we actually slightly happier, so we didn't need the...
Yeah. That's the thing, like, and again, like, so, well, I don't know. Like, obviously, there's problems in the fucking 60s and 70s, like other, wars that we're involved in that, like, weren't popular, but I was... I don't know. Fucking long and short of it is we shouldn't be in bed with China.
No.
Everyone shouldn't be like getting upset now that China don't want to fucking buy our coal and it's going to hurt our economy. We should never fucking tie our economy so closely to those commie cunts.
Yeah. I wanted to tie back on
that note. Probably I can hopefully not a big enough channel to get kicked off YouTube for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's have a break and come back. All right, we're back. Probably about time to start winding this up.
Yeah.
But something we haven't got into, mental health and just like, everything, is I find there's a fucking epidemic of people. So like, let's focus on the mental health thing for now, right?
Yeah.
There's people who, so when like we have Are You OK Day, where the premise is you're fucking meant to ask someone if they're okay. But anyway, that day I'll roll around and I'll see people in my feed post something like that, not even write something meaningful, post something about Are You OK Day.
Yeah. And
then it's like, check, like, I'm a good person, I've done this thing. And then, the next day they're absolute cunts to everyone in their life and fucking, affect everyone that they come across as mental health negatively.
Yeah.
But they genuinely think they're a good person because they shared this thing about Are You OK Day. Mm-hmm. And same, like, Black Lives Matter. Everyone, racism's bad. So we fucking didn't know that. So I posted a black square on my Instagram of I've done something and fucking...
Great, I'm clean, exactly. I guess the worst thing with those, like that part is, I agree, it's an epidemic of idiocy in most ways.
It's just like laziness and... just like, it was fucking on it, like, do you even actually like give a fuck?
Yeah.
Or you just virtue signaling and want like all your friends on Facebook to fucking know that you're a good person because you like share this thing? Like,
exactly.
If you really care about like Black Lives Matter, then don't be a racist. And fucking go and do something like at a charity for Aboriginals or something. I don't know. Like,
exactly.
If you fucking care, like about mental health and don't be a cunt to everyone.
And then post once a
Yeah,
year to say like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, and yeah, like just everything. Like there'll be, people will post things about like, chicks will post things about like feminism, but then go and like tear down other women.
Yeah.
Blokes post things about everyone like all like blokes should be able to talk to each other, and then they're fucking completely like toxic and fucking competitive and like just try and like tear down fucking every other bloke that that they come across.
Yep.
Just like people need to spend more time being a good person rather than trying to convince people that they're a good person.
Absolutely. I guess it's like it's probably like an unfortunate side effect of every social health experiment that happens is that unfortunately you have those who are virtue signalers, and where maybe 60% of the population takes it seriously, 30% couldn't care less because they're uneducated about it, and then there's that 10% that probably harp on the most about it, but also do just as much bad as good. And like the worst thing for me is that 9 times out of 10 those people are also victims, or not victims, but they're very good at victim or
being victim.
Yeah, and announcing themselves the victim. And I guess I've been through those scenarios myself in like friendships, relationships, and all that type of stuff where like at best it was it might have been something where both people weren't listening, weren't understanding, and it just wasn't ever going to work out. But what actually makes it 10 times worse is that one of those people decide that it's like they're the person that was impacted by it, and they're the faultless and the one that have been wronged and all that. And it's just I couldn't agree more. Like there's so much. Oh, sorry. There's so lack of use for that kind of thing that it's completely destroying any progress that we make in any of these things.
Anyway, that I guess. If I had one like takeaway from all of this, would be just I guess like just be a decent person.
Yeah.
Like
First
treat other people how you would like to be treated.
Yeah.
Don't fucking spend too much time and effort and energy trying to show people in a roundabout way that you care about a cause.
Yep.
Like you can go quietly and fucking do something about a cause that you care about.
Yep.
Or go loudly and like do something that fucking actually matters. Don't like post something to fucking Instagram one day and then like it is
perfect example I can probably tie on that, and again it ties like just really nicely to bow with this whole November thing. The company I guess initiative that we took. One of the guys that was doing November with me did probably what we would want out of this, in that so his challenge was he climbed tabletop every day for 30 days.
Yep.
And he said a reason of why I want to do this is because I think the way I understand a mental health battle is the fact that it's like climbing a mountain. Getting out of bed some days is actually just like climbing a mountain.
Yep.
And like that's exactly what I guess what I'm taking away from what you just said is that it's those things that make people think about, oh shit, I need to be better. I want to be better. I want to work on things. It's not making a post about oh it's so bad and then as you said, just being a trash human the rest of the time. It's not helpful. It's quite counterproductive. But unfortunately, you mask yourself as someone who cares, and unfortunately, it makes it very hard for someone to then call you out and be like, no, you're wrong.
Yeah, but it's got like honestly, like most people don't fucking care.
Exactly.
Like, they're all there's like a heap of people who are playing the victimhood Olympics. It's fucking who's like the most depressed person now, and then there's a heap of people playing like the virtue signal Olympics, where like no, I fucking care the most about the people who are oppressed, and no, I care more. Like so, I'll post this thing. No, now I fucking won't braid my hair because that's like cultural appropriation, and like probably like fucking black people, Jamaicans, whatever, like don't actually give a fuck. It's
Yeah.
like all
It's not in
like,
their own backyard to
people
actually be
who
concerned.
don't like being offended for other people.
Yeah.
Try to have a competition who can be like the most offended for other people, so they can like seem the most virtuous. You're not fucking doing anything
Nah.
of any consequence to help.
You've
like,
just wasted
anyone's
breath
life.
and
Yeah,
added
yeah.
CO2 to the atmosphere. Good on you.
Yeah, I think like really just all like boils down to just like be like decent, treat people how you want to be treated.
I think also treat yourself how you want to be treated too. I guess
yeah,
that's
I
a
had
big
this
takeaway.
thing. Yeah, so on like the self thing. I don't know where I heard or saw this, but this thing. So treat your might have been Jordan Peterson.
Great.
Treat yourself like someone you're responsible for looking after.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I guess that's like a good note to end on.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
for your own. Yeah, maybe like your friends might be enabling your bad behaviour, but if you look at yourself and treat yourself like someone that like you were responsible for,
Yeah.
then you know take your own advice, or if you're being hard on yourself, treat yourself like you know you would treat someone.
Yeah.
You know,
Who's gone through a hard
speak
time.
to yourself like
Yeah.
you would speak to a friend who's going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Might as
Easy.
well end it there. Yeah,
Sounds like a good time.
We'll be running out of SD card. So.
Take it
Thanks for coming, mate.
My pleasure.
Cheers.
It's been awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Share it. You can follow me on Instagram if you want, at Dougmo for nudes. I'll release my OnlyFans in the next episode. It's just something I do for mental health. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you next time. Cheers.